Start recording now. All right. Hello, guys. Welcome to the Consi podcast. We talk about acting, filmmaking. Hello, guys. I got the legends back on the podcast. So, guys, without introduction, let's jump right into it. So first, Vero will start, and she will be talking about the Wolf of the Wall Street scene, very famous one. So the floor is yours.
Yeah, people feel very differently about Leonardo DiCaprio, right? Because people either love or hate him. Mm-hmm. But I thought that in this film by Martin Scorsese, The Wolf of Wall Street, he was just brilliant. Whether you like him or not, that's a different thing. But I thought his acting is just brilliant. And I chose this scene specifically because you know how drunk acting or acting on drugs or whatever is always, there's some sort of difficulty with it usually, especially on film, because people try to make it sort of realistic, but you really have to work on that sort of hyper realism. So it's not like only in your head so the audience can see it, but it's also not too big so it feels fake. Mm-hmm. And I thought this was just like the comedy of it, the timing of it, the movement, the bodily movement. It's like his face, his facial expressions, everything is just in this scene. And I saw an interview with him I read an interview with him where he said that preparing for this scene, he actually watched a lot of YouTube videos. And one YouTube video called Most Drunk Guy Alive or something really inspired him for this scene.
So is the
which scene is it?
Quolate?
It's the Quaalude scene, yeah.
Yeah. You know, when he's trying to...
So he... Sorry.
No, sorry. When he's trying to climb into his Lamborghini.
Exactly, yeah. The scene starts off with him popping in drugs because he wants to have a certain high. Mm-hmm. He's the real life Jordan Belfort personality in this film, and together with his friend played by Jonah Hill, he takes these sort of drugs that he thinks at first don't work anymore because they've been banned for a couple of years or whatever. And so they go downstairs and start working out in his fitness room to have them kick in faster. And then they don't work at first or whatever. And he takes more and he takes more. And then in this second, his friend calls him and tells him, look, the FBI has been tapping your phone. You need to go somewhere else so I can talk to you from a payphone. So nobody's listening to your home phone. And that's exactly when the drugs start kicking in. So they've just been sort of been kicking in a little later. And that's sort of the comedy of the situation, right? The timing and like why everything comes together. And I thought, it's filmed really, really interestingly as well, because like you see his movement, he compares his movement to the movement of his daughter, you know, when she can't really get up from the floor yet. He has a little baby daughter. And he also like sort of describes it like someone who can't really control their muscles anymore. And then like it's like it's like his muscles don't work anymore and he needs to get to his car. So he stops his wife from telling something to the FBI agent, because obviously he's been trying to bribe the FBI agent and he's been doing some bad stuff.
That reminds me of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, if anybody's seen that. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, yeah?
I've seen it. Oh yeah, there's a moment Johnny Depp, right? As well, like what happened there?
They're going. I think they're on. What is it? I mean, there are many things, but there's a scene where they are walking, like really stiff, where they don't have any control over their body anymore. I don't know the drug that they took, but there are many drug scenes that are incredibly amazing.
That's true.
It's very
Well, somebody wants to see like some drug scenes, Fear and Loath in Las Vegas is
in Las Vegas.
one of
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. It's hard to balance, right? To like find some reality of really taking drugs and also making it a comedy and also not trying to overdo it. So it's like, oh, okay, this is just fake. I don't believe anything, but you believe him and it's funny at the same time.
And how do you guys go about it when you are told to play some drunk? How do you did you have look it up on YouTube as well? Like, because there's so many different tricks, right? Like, what's your approach,
Right.
guys?
Yeah.
There's some, yeah. No,
You
we
wanna say-
actually did a Meissner course about that, drugs and alcohol. So they offer some guidance on it, but I think research is also great just to as not Johnny Depp, as Leonardo DiCaprio did, just to watch how people react or behave when they are on that kind of stuff, and then identify things that you can then apply, because you cannot play the whole thing, but like with alcohol, you can play that the tongue is a little bit off, that you like have a little bit of a lisp in a way, or that you are a little bit off balance, but you try to keep the balance. And there's some some things you can implement that will help you do that, but you have to get it in the body at the end. It has to come out naturally. So it takes some training to do.
Because right now, actually, in the acting semester, there was this core and surface. The core, you need to really somehow find it in you. The surface, it's kind of like a theatrical. You're more portrayed in it. And the girls had to do drunk. It was from the film Crazy Stupid Love. If you remember, Emma Stone.
Is drunk and gets home to Ryan Gosling.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a challenge. I could see how people were struggling with that, or they were focusing on being drunk, but not about, oh, I'm actually interested in him. They were like, it was just the drunkenness, but not like they forget about the core of the whole scene, or like about the scene, because sometimes I think it can take you away from the acting, right? If you focus on too much.
Yeah.
It's difficult. It's something to put on top of something. Like, you still have to be in the moment and be with your acting partner, but also fight against trying to be drunk, but also being drunk. So
because they say
drunk
like, if you're
is
drunk,
a challenge.
Yeah, for sure. I think this is big time, because also, like you said, like, because the drunk is try to pretend like he's not drunk.
Yeah,
right?
to stay in
Exactly.
control.
Yeah. So that's a bit mindfuck, to be honest. What about you, Vera? Do you have, like, if you would give one tip for this?
I would agree with Thomas and following the Meissner exercise, doing the research. But like, one thing that really helped me with Meissner is that you can't play 100 things. You usually choose 3 things for one drug. So look up like, okay, so for alcohol, it's slurred speech. It's like taking longer with movement and having like more issues with moving quickly or whatever. And also like always trying to not be off balance. And maybe the third thing would be answering and letting your emotions out more quickly than maybe you would if you didn't have alcohol.
That's interesting.
So it's 3 things that you would have to work on. And it's a lot of body, I watched the film Drück as well. In German it was called what was it? In English it was called Another Round. So I think it was a Swedish film, and they were amazing with alcohol. Like the entire film is alcohol based, and I thought the actors were brilliant playing the drunken scenes, playing the sensory that you have to it when you have to behave drunk. And I thought that was a really, really great way of doing it as well. But like this, I thought, is even more complicated with the Quaaludes, with the sort of drugs that not everybody in the audience knows how they would work. But still, like staying in the moments, trying to have that fight. And you can see how he struggles opening the Lamborghini, right? It's
It's a very famous
It's
scene.
a struggle, which is why it's funny.
Yeah, for sure. It's a good one. It's a good scene. Perfect. Yeah, being drunk, I think, very challenging, but quite often as well, this challenge. So, okay, perfect. Now let's go to the next scene. So, Thomas, what do you get for us?
I have a scene from The Master with Joaquin Phoenix. How is it? I don't know how to pronounce him. And
I always say Joaquin, but I guess I don't know.
Yeah, but we know who it is. And it's the audit scene where he sneaks on the boat, Joaquin Phoenix and his character, and Philip Seymour Hoffman is a guru, like personality, and they have an audit in the belly of the ship. And the scene is great because not only are those great actors and they go from moment to moment and you can really see their genuine reactions and the frustration of Joaquin Phoenix because he's not allowed to blink, and he has to tell lies and he has to tell the truth. And as soon as he blinks, he has to start over, and you can really see him getting frustrated. And then you can see how he wants to do more of it, so he's getting hooked. And that's the scene where those two characters for the rest of the movie, they kind of bond, and you see so much of their personality that is mostly hidden under their public persona in that scene. So that's a really cool scene. I like that a lot. Yeah.
Do you think they? So yeah, so you're saying like he was really using the moment of like he had to always start again, and he let it like affect him.
Yeah.
As the actor actually, and start becoming more frustrated.
Yeah, I wonder if that was all scripted and they just are so great in their acting, or if they used it to keep it running and keep it going, and then have that genuine reaction of frustration coming up, and then just cut the pieces out. So that would be interesting to know.
I wish I could. Maybe one day I will be able to invite Peter Anderson on the podcast so I can ask him. Because I'm always how did you do it? I'm always curious about the, for example, here I would be curious if they, because like you said, like they so much feed off each other, and like so much in the moment, whether they even maybe use two cameras at the same time,
Probably,
one on him and one on him, because even if there was maybe some kind of improvisation or even like these kind of things, like sometimes it's very high kind of heightened energy, and if you would cut back to him and he wouldn't be like that, because you can sense in the eyes of one, you can sense the other one how much is kind of intense, because you feed off each other the energy. So if they improvise it a little bit, maybe it's hard to then recreate the same kind of moments. Maybe they just so maybe they just did both cameras.
And that's just a good info, because from the technique from filming, there are so many ways to support actors to get to those points where their behavior comes out organically and where they capture that and it still works in the movie. So you can do that with two cameras, or you can do that by letting it run and then let them improvise a bit, and they have the lines and they know what it's all about. And where you're not like they have to get the words right every time and stuff like that. If you're a bit more fluid with that or open, there's so many ways to help actors and also to help the movie at the end do that.
For sure, because many times these moments are actually the one that are remembered then by audience, or they have this the magic, because it's so like coming out of the moment.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's a good example definitely of again, guys, for anybody who would like to do working on the acting, some like with some friend and do a scene. I think this one, it's called, the scene is from The Master. It's called Processing Scene. You can look it up on YouTube. I think that's a good scene for the workshop. Perfect. Okay, great. Thank you.
Great script.
Oh yeah, an amazing director as well. Have you seen, guys, by the way, The Last from P.T. Anderson? Do you follow him?
What was he called?
I haven't seen it, so I'm not sure. It was some pizza. I think pizza something, no?
Oh, Licorice Pizza.
Yeah.
No, I haven't yet, but I will definitely, because it is nominated quite a few times for the awards, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even know much about it. But
it's supposed to be sort of nostalgic, playing in the 80s, and the acting is supposed to be really good too. The story is sort of like, for the director, I think something from his childhood or something, or he feels like this nostalgia of the 80s coming through, is what I remember about it, but I haven't seen it yet. So
cool. Yeah, I was just curious, like how it is, Perfect. So, Vero, what you got else? What other scenes do you have now?
Just sent you a link. So this, I thought, is really inspiring for a lot of actors and especially actresses out there, because it's from a series called Fleabag by Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Do you know it?
I heard about it. Maybe even from you or from someone else, from several actresses, I think. So
yeah,
the inspiration.
Yeah, it's a fantastic series that was originally written as a one-woman show for theater, actually, like for a little small fringe festival in the UK. And I think it originally was just 20 minutes. It got so popular that she wrote a whole one-woman show. And I think, I don't remember what the theater play was called. Maybe it was even called Fleabag, but it was turned into 1 hour. And then after that, people still loved it so much that Amazon got to her and said, okay, we love what you're doing. We love your sort of comedic and honest style. Can you turn this into a series? And then she wrote one series, and it was so freaking popular that she had to write a second season as well. And it went through the roof, basically. And it kind of like tells the story of this self-made woman, but also like she shows a lot of vulnerability and like makes fun of her own personality in a way. And the reason why I chose this scene is because you can see the challenge of opening to the audience. Like I think Woody Allen did that a lot in his films, where he was just like in the moment and then switching over and talking to the camera and talking to the audience and then going back to his scene partner. And she does that in there as well, but she does it playfully because she goes to therapy about it. And her father basically gives her the money to go to therapy for her birthday, which is also kind of ridiculous. But she's incredibly talented, and I love her story so much, and people love her so much because she's a great writer as well. And she got invited to I think write for the last James Bond movie, and she's also in Killing Eve, and I think she writes for it as well, which is also a great show. So she's just having this incredible story about herself, because she was not a famous actress at all, but because she did something that was so much about her own style and created something completely new, sort of kind of led her to her success, which I find inspiring as well. Yeah,
for sure.
So always be creative, always try to do your own thing, never rest, or, like in your acting, it's a muscle that you have to train. You can't like wait for half a year at home and hope that Hollywood is going to call you or whatever. You need to get active and do something.
I tried that, but all the porn just didn't work out. I mean,
there's to try another one.
You promised you wouldn't tell, Thomas.
I'm watching now actually the scene now as well. So why you like this one so much?
I think she does a great job with breaking, like having her inner thought monologue and going back to the therapist, sort of making fun and making jokes in her own head and trying to get the seriousness of the situation and trying to flee the seriousness of the situation and getting, joking with the audience, but her audience is basically in her head. It's sort of how she escapes. And I think it's quite cleverly written as well as acted out, because you can follow her easily.
So you gotta like that she kind of like goes like this to the audience and then like smoothly go back to the
she
the
doesn't
scene.
break out of character like Brecht would do, like just breaking character and talking to the audience, whatever. She stays in the character and makes it like really approachable, because you feel like, oh, she's talking to me right now, but she's still in her head, sort of, which is complex and I think harder to do than it looks.
And do they have it like when she's talking to the audience or to somebody in her head? Does the psychiatrist see it, that she's kind of like now stalking, or she doesn't see this part?
She doesn't really see this part, but in the second season, she finds someone who sees it, who's like, you just switched off, didn't you? And she's like, no, I didn't. But he sort of is the first person to see that she goes somewhere else in her head.
That's cool. Is it a future boyfriend?
Maybe.
Okay, that's cool. I like that.
Priest.
Cool. I like that. I like that idea that they give some character this kind of superpower to see this. That's cool. That's cool. Okay, perfect. Thomas, what you got now?
I have one for the nerds. From Game of Thrones, Hodor. And it's the scene where Hodor at the end dies, but also we see how he originated. And the scene is they're trying to escape, and I don't know if you've seen it, but Brandon Stark, who's a Green Seer, he taps into the mind of Hodor in the past and controls him to hold the door for them so they can escape. And by him holding the door, he dies at the end. He sacrifices himself, kind of, not willingly, but but yeah. And I think that's the only fan theory that I didn't read anywhere. Maybe there was one or somebody saying that, but it's the only one I've never seen anywhere, that Hodor comes from hold the door. Because the fans were right about everything. George R. R. Martin said once, but that one I missed completely, and I'm not sure if anybody had it. And it's emotionally beautiful, and from the timing and the music and the actor who plays the young Hodor, when he's on the ground lying and is shouting hold the door until it forms to Hodor. It's just such a beautiful scene. Such a beautiful arc.
Yeah, and I'm watching now, and the young kid is great. It's very difficult to see them.
Yeah,
play this kind of like very physical.
Yeah, and it was the only time we saw that actor. It was the only time he was on the show, just for that scene. And he did a great job, I think. So
for sure, the casting for this must be interesting, because I'm sure they needed to see how well can he do this kind of like physical, right? Like this shaking and like.
Oh yeah.
So it must be very intense casting, a day or a week or whatever, to get all these kids like lying on the ground, like having seizure.
Yeah, I think it's weird for the actors and the casting directors sometimes what you have to do, especially when it's physical. Like an actress friend of mine, she once told the story of a casting she had to do where she had to give a blowjob. And they just the reaction of Barrow, and it was just about seeing the head move from behind. So it wasn't like from the front. It was just it was completely a weird situation to go into the room and then to perform the blowjob for the camera. So you have to
but they were shooting her from behind because they were interesting how she's doing. If she's like have the rhythm or something.
Yeah.
Rhythm. That's very interesting casting. Yeah, I'm not sure if I would want to ever cast something like this. Must be so awkward.
You go home and say, I had to do a blowjob today to get a job,
Yeah.
I told you don't have to do that.
Yeah. Even to the casting director, he goes home and he's like to his girlfriend, yeah, I just saw 30 girls blowing today in my office. That doesn't sound good either.
Very weird.
It's a weird, yeah. Yeah, but the spastic movement of Hodor, I think that was also
nice
a nice
segue.
casting.
Did she get the role?
Nope.
She
didn't.
Okay. So what's next?
That's not
okay. So Vera, what do you have?
Oh, this is something, for sure. I thought I would talk about the scene from Get Out, the hypnosis scene.
I know this very well.
Yeah.
Amazing film. One of my favorite of 21st century.
Definitely. So if you haven't seen it yet, definitely watch it. It's ridiculously good. And the acting in there, like especially in this scene, I feel like if you haven't seen the movie, you shouldn't watch this scene and then watch the movie, because it's sort of the high point of the movie, I think.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, it's a big spoiler. But
Thomas, have you seen it? Thomas?
No, but I'm watching it now.
Okay, so it's spoiled for you, so it's okay. So yeah, yes. Vera, why did you choose this one? Why do you like it?
Just because it's like the whole art of doing that scene of like starting off, okay, I'm a little uncomfortable because I'm meeting my girlfriend's parents and I don't know how to feel about it because I'm the only one with a different like a people of color in here, and everybody else seems to have a helping job or someone who serves to someone else. This is already very weird, and he gets up in the middle of the night probably because he wants to, I don't know, grab a glass of water or something. I don't really remember, but then he meets her mother, and she's basically, I'm totally spoiling now, so if you haven't seen the movie, jump ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
But she's trying to find out more about him, and she gets really personal. She asks him about his mother and when he was a child, what happened, like how did his mother die, and he's getting more into it, and she uses this sort of hypnosis technique, which is also from a filming point really interesting because of the tea cup that she uses and the sound that she creates with the spoon in there, and just like the trigger point from like 1 to 100 where he just basically falls into the floor and his tears come streaming out of his face, which are not as interesting because they're tears, but because he gets so emotional and is trying to fight against it. It's just shivers. He's a fantastic actor, and what I find so cool about this film as well is because the creators are much more well known beforehand because of their comedy, right? Mm-hmm. Thomas is a big Key and Peele fan, I think.
Oh no, not so big. It was a phase.
It was a phase.
It was a phase.
I love them, and everything is right about this scene. There's not much more to say, unfortunately, but he gets into it.
I heard that this was his actually casting tape. Like this is the casting scene.
Makes sense, because it's the most important scene of the film. I wonder how many takes he did to get there, I wonder.
And whether it's like a one take, continuous take, I guess maybe it's. Yeah, for sure. That we're very curious what he used to get there. I guess, definitely something very personal, something maybe related to family as well.
Some sort of substitution for the dead mother, definitely. Also somebody who makes you uncomfortable in that situation, like getting questioned by someone and like an intruding thing. But you would have to search, you would have to find something that like gets you instantly.
Also, I think, interesting. Like when I'm clicking now, there's like a moment where he's kind of exactly had this kind of like, I'm suspicious about you. And then there's a cut to her and then cut back to him. And he's already like much more vulnerable. I think they did 2 takes. One, he was more about in the first half, when he's like, I don't know what to talk about this stuff. And then they did a take where I think because he had to open up more, he had to be more vulnerable for the second half to happen. So maybe he even imagined he was talking to someone else in the second half, not somebody he suspect, but actually somebody he can open up with. Because I don't think he would be able to open up so much if the whole time he is a substitution for her, the one that he doesn't trust.
Oh, I was thinking about the mother at first. Yeah, but probably.
Yeah.
But I also really like his choice. I don't know if it was his choice or the director's one, but I thought it was really cool to see like he doesn't really want to sit down, but then he does sit down and he doesn't want to show her that he's uncomfortable. So he just like sits like this, right? I thought that was really smart because it's harder to like.
Yeah, right.
It's like I'm still in control of the situation. I'm still cool, like I'm still chilling, and then you see like his body getting more and more anxious, and like he's also like the part where he I don't know. Can you see this? Where he grabs the chair like this.
It's a great transition. Yeah.
That's a great film. Get Out is a great film. Guys,
definitely, yeah.
We have 5 minutes. 5 minutes. So let's do. I think we can do at least one more.
Okay.
Thomas?
Oh yeah. I have one, and it's more a personal one. It's from. It's Tom Hanks and Mark Rylance, and I'm a big fan of Mark Rylance, and it's actually the movie where he got the Oscar for best supporting actor. It's Bridge of Spies. The movie itself I didn't like so much, but there's this scene where he's a spy, a Russian spy, and he gets caught, and Tom Hanks is there to represent him, and it's their first meeting, and it's in jail, and they negotiate a bit, and then he asks him, "Aren't you alarmed?" And then he says, "Would it help?" And that continues throughout the movie. And when I saw the scene or the movie, it kind of clicked for me whenever I thought like, okay, whenever I worry about something, I can just simply ask the question, would it help me worrying right now? And most of the time the answer is no, it doesn't. So for me personally, that movie was a trigger point and not worry so much. That's why I picked it. But also because Mark Rylance is such a great actor. He is always in the moment, and he comes from the theater, and he loves theater. He did a lot of movies in the pandemic because he couldn't do theater, basically. And he's now going back to theater. And that's the funny and great thing about it. There's not really a difference in his acting on stage and in front of the camera, because it's so truthful and in the moment. And it also shows that that kind of acting is also possible on stage and not only on the camera. And yes, bigger and not so big and stuff like that, but the internal life and the truthfulness and the authenticity, it's basically the same. And I think Mark Rylance is a great actor to showcase for that.
Okay, later I would like you to. So how do you know about the theater? Does he have some like video from the theater on YouTube? Or?
You find some stuff on YouTube, yeah. You find some, and he has some interviews, and there's some really nice thoughts that he shares, especially about speaking for an audience, where they realized, okay, in the theater usually you don't talk to your partner on stage. You're talking to the audience, and that's why it's so off, because That's weird. And also they had to project a lot, or they just got louder and louder. And I think he called it, they had like this epiphany of saying like, that's not how we should do it. We should talk in, and I think, I searched for it today, but I didn't find it. I think they call it a magnetic speaking, where you draw the audience into, so they want to listen to what you say. And it's a different way of talking. It's and then actually you do talk with your partner on stage, and that's when this kind of magic is happening on stage that we see in the movies as well, where we actually just talking with the other person that is here and not for the camera or the audience.
Mm-hmm. And this magnetism is for the theater as well. Somehow
Yeah,
there's a trick how to make it magnetic.
Yeah, where they did it for the theater because he's all about theater. So they realized this way of talking, projecting your voice out to the audience is just loud and it's just all the same, and you miss a lot of nuances. And so they kind of developed another way of, and I think he called it magnetic speaking. I have to look it up. I didn't find it.
If you can like and send me a link, where if it's some YouTube stuff, I would like to put it under the video, because this is very cool. Like I would like to actually look into it more as well, because I think in film as well, it's very important to speak or do whatever that the camera like is kind of drawing, you know, like you are, or the audience is drawn to the screen as well. But with the theater, I'm glad that they try to work on that. So it's not just projecting, you know, the voice, but it's kind of the tricking them to pay attention. That's cool.
We talked about this before, right? Because like truthful acting is truthful acting, whether it's on film or in theater. But I think like finding out the differences between theater and film could be a. So truthful acting is truthful acting, whether it's in film or in theater. And I feel like we could do a whole other podcast on comparing the theater acting to the film acting and how people approach it differently. Yeah,
that's good. And we should, guys, actually. So the next one with you two, that's what I want to do. Perfect. Thank you, Vero, for already suggesting the next one. Because I don't have much.
Invited back.
Yes, you just get yourself a returning ticket. Yeah, that's a great topic. That's a great topic, because I will just sit back and listen to you guys, because I don't know much about theater acting. I was always avoiding it because it's never talk to me. I'm very kind of like strict film guy. But you know what? Okay, last one before we finish. I want to know one opinion about it. Then I'll ask you much more next one. And I just forgot it. I had like one. Oh yeah, you know what? I think, don't you think that it's good to be, even if you're film actor, to be a theater actor, if not for anything else, then for this kind of practicing being under pressure, because you have to perform in front of like a live audience, some people, some strangers you don't know. Because if you're just film actor and you're just practicing with your buddies all the time, like different scenes, you know, and stuff like that, don't you think it's maybe not as ideal as if it's in the theater, where you have to perform, like you're forced to do it? Now I have to go, whether I feel good or not, you just have to do it. And that kind of build up a little bit more resilience when you then on the set of a film acting, and you know there's this pressure on you, like you have to go perform now, and there's people, strangers watching you. Do you think there's that could be a good advantage of theater acting, even for film actors?
I think it's a bit different, because you're kind of protected on the stage with the light and everything, and you usually don't see the audience. And in film, you also have a crew around you. Most of them you don't know, so you have to. I think it's good because you learn public solitude in a different way, where you can be alone in front of other people. But in film, it's usually more. It's closer because the audience is kind of separated from you. But I think it's nevertheless it's good to do it, because it gives you the idea of how to do a character, a whole play in one swoop, in one go. And opposed to the acting in film where it's all bits and pieces most of the time. And so I would say it's a great thing to do, yeah.
So you would say, and you know what? Okay, we'll talk about it more in the next one, because I wanted to ask you, like, if this is the main thing you think the main advantage for film actors if they do theater is that they are able to kind of practice more the whole arc of the character in like a one night, and maybe more appreciate it or something like that.
Yeah, the answer to that is for the next time.
Good. I like that. I like that little hook. And
keeping it in suspense.
Yes. And so, Vero, what about you? What is the?
I agree. I think it does help. What I think theater really helps you with is timing, because you need to know in what kind of timing, especially with comedy. When you film comedy scenes, you know, you sort of have to know, okay, this is a joke where the audience might be able to find it funny if I say it this way versus if I say it this way, where they see the reaction to it, whether versus where they don't see a reaction to it. It's very, comedy has become very different as well, because back in the 90s they would have to take these breaks for the laugh pauses, you know, like where they play into the from the audience, and now comedy has become very different. But I do think that theater acting definitely helps your timing and being able to repeat, you know, being able to recreate a moment that has happened before, maybe, you know, because when you are in front of the camera for the first time and the director says, that was great, let's do it one more time, but like from a different angle, and you're like, how did I do it? You know, I don't remember what I did. Then you might like freeze up or whatever. And that's something that theater usually helps you with, because you do it, I don't know, 40, 50 times over, maybe.
But you don't do it this in the same moment as well. You do it like maybe like a week later or something, right? But that doesn't matter.
Well, it depends. There are theaters where, and I have seen plays definitely where the moment's been gone and it felt very rehearsed and very not in the moment. And then sometimes they create new moments, and so they let them be affected by something completely different, maybe even, and try to stay in the moment and try to stay focused. It just trains you in a different way, I think. But like you said, truthful acting is truthful acting. And maybe it's the body or whatever, but let's keep this for another
we'll keep it for the next one. So guys, thank you so much for joining me this time. I'm already looking forward, because I'm curious about the debate next time. Oh, hello. It's a little bit shy. So yeah, okay guys, thank you so much for joining me this time. Looking forward to see you next time. And that's it. And you want something?
I created a playlist with all the acting scenes, by the way, that I chose. So if anyone's interested, I will maybe put it in the description or in the comments below, or you know, you can always DM me on Instagram or whatever.
Perfect. There will be the links to your Instagrams as well under the video. Thank you for the thing. I already used like one of the scenes.
Oh, you did.
From the crazy stupid laugh.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah. Because I used it already before. It's such a good scene. I already used it before, but you remind me of the list. I was like, oh yeah, that's a good one. So perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Take care. See you later. Bye bye. 1 second. I'm gonna.
Bye-bye.